Hey guys, welcome back to my channel today. Please subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification bell so that each time we post a new video, you'll be first to know. So today we'll be covering fondant. I'm going to be showing you a perfect method to cover your fondant cakes, like when you make your cake after stacking them and you want to cover with fondant. I'll show you the easiest way to go about it. Okay, therefore, but first, if you don't know how to stack your cake, please, we already have a video on this channel on how to stack your cakes perfectly and trim them well, so that when you finish covering your fondant, the body will be smooth and it won't be rough. You get what I mean? Okay, so that you could go see that video. If you still having problems with like stacking your cakes and trimming perfectly, okay, the video is already uploaded and I will attach the link. So today we're moving on to covering our cakes with fondant method. I'll still do other methods. I'll teach us how to do it, buttercream and whipped cream, but today is dedicated to the almighty fondant. Okay. Okay, so I'll also leave in the description box the method I used to achieve this my fondant. Like I'll leave the recipe, the ingredients on how you can achieve a highly stable fondant. Okay, whether the weather is whether the weather, I'm sorry, okay, it doesn't depend on the weather. It's just it's a fondant recipe that you can use anytime, any day, whether the weather is moisty or humid or however, your fondant is good to go. Okay, so now I'm kneading out my fondant. You saw me rolling earlier. I've been rolling and now I'm kneading it out. I'm trying to get the length that would go around my cake. Okay, you can see me trying to. Fondant is highly elastic, okay, so it can move for as long as the thickness remains. You don't have to get it too thick because you don't want it being too light on the cake, and you're not going to cover it twice. Like I don't cover my cakes twice, I cover once. So you just knead the fondant out and then try to stretch it, but don't get it too thick, too thin. Okay, make it a bit thick, like no, not up to like 2 millimeter, not too thick, but not too light either. So the fondant should just be somewhere in between. All right, so I try to make a pattern on my fondant. I don't just want to cover the cake with a smooth fondant. I don't want the body to be smooth, so I have this pattern I love so much. I'm using it on this cake. So now see how it's gonna come out. All right, I try to measure the cake there. All right, I didn't show that part, but I tried to get the length and make sure my fondant can cover it perfectly, and I rolled it up so that I can easily see how I'm using it. Now you carry the cake and you go around it gently so that you do not spoil the fondant. You go around it and you try to close it up. First you remove the rolling pin, the small rolling pin. You cut it out and then you remove it. Then you try to close up the parts, the where the two fondant edges meat. You try to close them, seal them up. If they are not sealing, you can add water a bit, but mine just sealed freely, so there was no need for water. And then you use your smoothers to just cut them neatly. Be careful, neatly is the word, because at the end of the day you must achieve a neat work. Now that's the goal, of course. That's the goal. You must have to achieve a very neat covering of your fondant. So if you use this method, you're going to get a very, very neat fondant covering. Each time you cover fondant, it's not going to be patchy, it's not going to be rough, it's going to be very smooth. First you knead it out on your table, you roll up with a small rolling pin and you go around your cake. Give it whatever pattern you want and it's gonna come out perfect. Okay, so you don't worry about the tiny edges that are still coming out where I sealed it. Don't worry, I'm gonna smoothen that out in time. Now this, I'm trying to roll out the covering, the top covering. I'm trying to knead it out with my fondant, the one I cut out. And one good thing about this method is that it's not actually fondant consuming. Like this cake is 500 grams and I'm covering it with 500 grams of fondant. Like it is going to be perfect. It is going to be very, very enough for every method, for everything I want to do on the cake. With 500 grams, I've covered it and I've done my decoration. I mean, you're going to see the turnout of this cake, but I'm sorry, I wasn't able to show all the details of the parts. Like, I made all the decorations, but I'm going to attach the full video, the video of the final work. Before I had to step out, and before I came back, it was already late, so I couldn't cover that part. So I just had to do it and then show the final work. Okay, so I'm done kneading out, and I equally made my pattern on it. So see me opening up the cake and then applying water. That's just water I'm trying to rub on the edges so that when I put the top covering, they can easily seal together. Okay, now I've placed it and I'm trying to use my hands to seal it so that it can attach itself to the fondant, the top, so like they can seal perfectly. Without the water, they won't seal. Attach a board and then turn them upside down. All right, so having turned, you use your smoother to now seal it up. Use the edge that is curvy in your smoother. It's also it actually comes in 2 piece. They sell it in markets. People who sell cake things, you can easily get it there. Now use the curvy side to seal up the tips of your fondant, the edges. Seal the both of them together. Seal it up. Make sure it is not open. Make sure it has sealed. Then using your cutter, your chin cutter, that's what it's called. Now use it to cut out the excesses. That's simply what I've done. Now turn back the cake. You see me attaching the board, and then see how the cake came out. Very lovely, very smooth. Okay, don't worry about the rough part. It's actually the back. We're going to try to smoothen it a bit, but then it doesn't matter. Even if it remains like that. It is the back side. Okay, so it doesn't really make much of a difference. What's going to matter, what matters most, is the front of our cake. So to this video, I'm going to be adding to another method we used to cover board. You're going to see me cover the board because I want us to cover the board and then place the cake on it, and then we can see the final work, what it looks like. Okay, so that's me kneading out the fondant for my board. I'm going to cover that. The board the cake is on right now is not actually the board. The other side is. So I'm going to roll out the fondant, and I'm going to cover the board and place our beautiful cake on it. Look at how smooth the body of that cake is. Take note of it. Can you see it? It is very, very neat. I tried to flip the video so that you could get a clearer view. I didn't know the camera was not properly positioned at a point, but still, our video is not completely ruined. Okay, so at least we can still make some things out of it. I'm done rolling out the fondant for the board now. You see what I'm doing? Just watch me. You're carefully putting it on the board so that you don't have excesses while the board is not covered. Okay, you just use your rolling pin and roll up the fondant and place on the cake. After rubbing water on the board, please don't forget that part. Always rub water on your board so that the fondant can stick to the board. So if you're a learner, if you're a beginner, you're trying to start baking, now this is a channel you should subscribe to, okay? Because I'm going to be giving you loads and loads of how-tos, like how to do a whole lot of things. I'm moving the cake to the board. See, everything is in it. All right, so I already have a pattern on my cake, so I don't want to add another pattern to my board. That's why I left the board plain. Now if you look at it, oh my god, this cake is so neat. I don't even need to trim the down, like use any covering, but look at the final work. My client actually sends me this video and is really giving. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being with us. Remember to subscribe. God bless you. Bye.